highest in me bows down to the highest in you, and may this be the happiest day of your entire life. And so it is. And that's the intention with which I begin. I've got a very beautiful bowl here, which I love to begin my sessions with. And just enjoy the sound of this bell. It's called a Tibetan singing bowl. Just enjoy the sound of this and use this to get really present and be fully here right now. I discovered that when we come up and speak on stage, very often the speaker has put a lot of thought and intention behind what they want to share. But I discovered in myself, as a listener, I often don't prepare as much to listen as when we prepare to speak. And so I invite you all to listen to this talk in a special way. And the special way is simply this: just to be aware of the position of your body. Whatever the position of your body is, however you're seated or even standing. I don't see anyone lying down. And just be aware of the position of your body. And whenever you shift and move, just be aware of that. And your mind may wander and just come back. Because this talk is really about the perfection of the present, the beauty of the present. So I believe I've waited my entire life to talk to you right now. And perhaps you waited your entire life to listen to this right now. And I want to find out how to be happy, and then I want to spread happiness. And this made a lot of sense to me. That night I had a very good night's sleep. And after that I began a journey. I began reading many books, talking to many people, trying to find out what happiness is. And it led to a lot of confusion. I got thoroughly confused reading all these different philosophies. And when I was 16 years old, someone introduced me to meditation, a very simple practice of watching my breath, being aware of the breath as it comes in and comes out. And doing that practice, I realized that my real challenge is that I don't live in the present. My mind is always wandering in the past and in the future. And even about the present, I have so many associations I create. Even as I'm talking now, you might notice some things I say create associations in your mind, and the mind goes off in a different direction. So I noticed that in myself. I realized what I'm lacking is not information. What I'm lacking is the wisdom to apply it in the moment that it's most important. And so that journey made me very interested in this whole, how does my mind work? How does my mind create its own suffering? And how can my mind unravel the suffering? So one of those, when I first learned meditation, I came out of the meditation hall one day. I was lying down on the ground, and there was a tree above me. And it was very remarkable that I saw the leaves moving in the tree, just with the wind. And I realized it's the first time in my life I've really seen a leaf without labeling it as a leaf of this and that tree. And it was a moment of connection. And I began to see the best moments of my life are such moments of deep connection. Being connected to myself, being connected to others, being connected to whatever I'm doing. Whenever that happened, I had a deep sense of inner fulfillment. I had a deep sense of joy. And I found that this joy comes from inside. I don't need anything outside to support that. That whenever I'm in the present, it's a beautiful moment. It's a perfect moment. So this journey began that I should learn to live in the present all the time. So I did an MBA, I worked in the corporate world. And I decided that really, what I'm really interested in is the inner world. And so I realized my education isn't complete yet. You know, I really liked one definition by Aristotle. He said that education is defined as being able to entertain a thought and not believe it. To not believe your own thinking, that is education. Not just having different kinds of fancy thoughts. So one of the most amazing things I learned about my own mind is, whatever I think, I find evidence for it. If I think I'm not good enough, I find evidence for it. If I think I'm a genius, I find evidence for it. Whatever I think, I find evidence for it. What the thinker thinks, the prover proves. The mind's job is to prove itself right. Now that's very fascinating, that's really powerful. I discovered that there's just this present moment, and everything else is a story I tell. My past is a story. How do I know it's a story? It changes every few years, the way I tell it. My future is a story. My plans about the future are a story. And how I describe myself in the present is a story. And the quality of these stories determine the quality of my life. So what I realized is that happiness, in fact, let me just start with suffering, because it's kind of easier to approach that way. I found suffering is when I don't like the present moment. When I don't like what I'm seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. When I don't like any of those things, I find I'm in a bad mood. When I don't like my own thoughts, I'm in a bad mood. And when I like what I'm seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, I'm in a good mood. In other words, reality, which is now, the fact, this is the way it is right now. When I like reality, when I love reality, I'm happy. When I argue with reality, when I fight with reality, I'm unhappy. I became a monk. I lived as a monk in the forests of Thailand and Sri Lanka, and had such wonderful experiences living with the masters over there, living with the teachers there, and really learning from the simple things. My teacher said very beautifully, everything is teaching us. You don't need fancy teachings, everything is teaching us. For example, there may be a road you go down every day to your home, and you often may be going by car. And maybe one day, the car is not available, you have to walk down. You might notice it's a totally different road. When you walk down that same road, it's a totally different road, even though you've gone down by car hundreds of times. Again, I invite you to be really present and just be aware of the posture of your body. Be aware of where you are, because this is the only moment of your life. And one day, you might just stop, and you might realize when you stop, again, it's a totally different road. It changes based on how fast you're going. So in our life, nowadays, it seems to be about the faster you can get to where you want to get to. And when we're running that fast, we miss out on things. We don't enjoy life because we're going really so fast. So to slow down and attend to one thing at a time. Can I give my full attention to whatever I do right now? And I found what really helped. This is a nice idea, but how do you do it? I found what really helped is, if I make it like one more thing I've got to do, I've got already a long list of to-dos, I've got to improve in myself, one more thing to improve in myself, it makes it really difficult. So what I found is, don't just be in the present, enjoy being in the present. And so what I found is, when I have a light-hearted approach to this, joyful approach to this, life is very beautiful. I was once living in the remote forests of Thailand, and I had to walk through a path late at night, and we were living 3 months in the deep forest, and we live very simply over there. And I had to walk through a rainstorm for 2 hours to get to where the other monks were. I had a very dim torch, and this was the time where the rain was really lashing. There were all kinds of leeches on the ground, and it was absolute misery. There were branches of big trees falling all over the place. It was quite scary. It was dark, my torch was quite dim, and I knew it's a 2-hour walk. And in this difficult situation, every time I focused on, my goodness, 1.5 hours left, my goodness, 1 more hour left, I realized I really suffered. But whenever I focused on just one step, just one step, just one step, I realized there was no suffering. And that gave me a very powerful realization, that in the present moment, there is never any problem. Life is very simple. All our problems come when we pull in the past and the future. One definition of problems I like very much, problems are defined as trying to figure it out. Whenever you try to figure it out, you've got a problem. And again, I invite you to test this hypothesis. Come into the present. And what does it mean to be in the present? Just come to your sense experience. Notice what you're seeing, what you're hearing, smelling, if you're eating something, what you're tasting. And just notice, totally present now. And just check, is there any problem? And this is the only moment of our life. So, there's a story which I like very much. There was a man who used to live at the base of a tree, and he was very famous. He would solve everyone's problems. So any such people who can solve problems get very famous. People came from around the world. And he had a very simple methodology. You came to him, he wouldn't listen to your problems. He had no time for that. He'd just give you a handkerchief and said, write down your problems on this. So people would write in great detail their problem. This happened, that happened, that happened. And they'd come to him. And he'd say, okay, take this handkerchief and tie it on one of the branches of the tree behind me, and then come back to me. So they'd tie it and they'd come back. Now he said, now look behind you. This whole tree is full of handkerchiefs. Thousands of people have come before you. They've all tied down their problem there. I have a miraculous ability. I can exchange problems. So go around and open any other handkerchief, Whichever you think is the problem less than yours, bring it to me, I'll exchange your problems. So it's all right. So they go around and they open someone's handkerchief and it says, I lost my child. Oh my goodness, I don't want to lose my child, and they put it back. And someone says, I lost my hair, I don't want to lose my hair, and they put it back. And so like this, wherever they go, I lost my home, and I lost my business, and I fell sick, and my close loved one died. And as they, as he went around, all the people came back and said, we've got the lesson. We understood. Right? And so this for me was a wonderful breakthrough, that my life is not happening to me, life is happening for me. Life is happening for my growth and for my development. Life is happening for my awakening, for my enlightenment. For what? Life is happening to get me back to the present moment, to appreciate the present moment, to enjoy the now, which is where my whole life is. So all of these experiences, you look back in the past, they may have been a time that was very difficult, and you look back today, you often say, actually that was very good, I learned something from it. If you can't say it yet, there'll come a time in the future. I often meet people who are in their 70s and 80s, and I always ask them this one question. If you could change anything in your life, what would you change? And can you guess what the most common answer is that I get? I heard someone say it. I wouldn't change anything. The most common answer I get is, son, I wouldn't change anything. It was all there for a reason. Now, if you can get that wisdom at 70 or 80, why not at 60? Why not at 50? Why not today? Why not now? And that's wonderful, that everything that happens in life is for me, not to me. Now, taking a light-hearted approach to this, we sometimes get really serious with all these ideas of I've got to get somewhere, I've got to become something. And suppose I have a very light-hearted approach, don't take life so seriously. Right? Don't take yourself so seriously. Welcome whatever happens. So now let's make this really practical for you. How do you apply this in your life? And the first thing I'd say is, take up any one quality. Take up any one thing, focus your mind on one quality that inspires you. And for someone, that one quality is unconditional love. Someone says it's about service. Someone says it's about generosity, or gratitude, or compassion. Someone says it's about living in the present. Whatever it is, everyone choose one quality that really inspires you. The way to find it, you can ask yourself the question, if there was only one lesson I had to learn in my entire life that would make me inwardly happy and outwardly fulfilled, what would that one lesson be? And find something you can practice in every moment of your life, both personal and professional. And come up with one idea. And now practice that idea every single day. So the practice is, when you wake up in the morning, spend 5 minutes and think about that one idea. For example, the idea is to be grateful, to be thankful for whatever happened in your life. So think of all that you're thankful for and see yourself going through the whole day being thankful for whatever happens, learning the lessons, whatever happens, learning from it, laughing with it, loving it, letting go, right? To be grateful. So see yourself doing that. And again, at the end of the day, remember, recollect where you were able to practice it, where you forgot it. Very simple practice. And as you start even from right now, you might find 99.9% of the time you forget. And that's all right. 0.1% of the time you remembered. And that's fantastic. Because what I found is what you focus on expands, not just expands, it dramatically expands. You know, as we were children, we took our first baby steps. If our parents said that's only one step, what's the big deal? We would never have learned how to walk. But there's a big celebration every time the child takes that one step. Huge celebration. And we said, hey, that's pretty good, let me try another step. We'd all be walking, crawling around today if that hadn't happened, right? So by focusing on that 0.1%, your whole day, you don't remember this one quality, but one time you remember it. That 0.1% means tomorrow it might be 0.2%, next day 0.3%. Maybe in 1,000 days you're at 100%, and 1,000 days just about 3 years, it's nothing. In 3 years you become 100% grateful. When you're 100% grateful, your whole past you're grateful for, the present you're grateful for, the future you're grateful for. What people often ask me, why did I become a monk? And honestly, the most simple answer is, I was afraid of death. I was afraid of dying. I was afraid of my own mortality. I would think of how a simple pain in my leg when I'm meditating makes me so agitated. So what will happen when I grow old? What will happen when I get sick? That used to really terrify me. And as I was practicing, and I tried really hard to make my mind solid and make it really strong, and I found it didn't work. Wherever I reach, I'd compare myself with somebody else, I'm not good enough yet. I was focusing on what I didn't have. And the beautiful healing for me was, I looked back in my life, and I saw that every single moment of my life, I have been supported. As I'm standing here now, my legs are supporting me. The ground is supporting me. Planet Earth is supporting me. The whole universe is supporting me being here now. When I've been thirsty, there's been water. When I've been hungry, there's been food. When I've been cold, there's been something to cover me. When I've been lonely, there've been friends. And when there haven't been those things, it's been a great opportunity to learn, to be humble, to grow from it. So either way, support and challenge was always to make me, not to break me. And I realized the whole universe, or life, whatever you want to call it, has been so kind to me. My whole life I've been supported. From birth till now, I mean, in fact, even before birth, 9 months, totally supported. All the way to now, it's been an absolute journey, a miraculous journey. Then why not the rest of my life? And why not even death? And that was a powerful healing of that whole fear of death for me. All I know is that the purpose of my life, I've waited my whole life to speak to you right now. This is the purpose of my life. And after a while, the purpose of my life would be to walk off the stage and take this mic off. And after a while, whatever it is, that's the purpose of my life. So, to give my full attention and all the love in my heart to the present moment, which is the most perfect moment you'll ever have, where there's no problems, and then when you do have to think, because there's only now and the narratives of the past and the future, let those narratives be based on that one quality you've chosen for yourself. That one quality that inspires you. And this I found is the way to make every single day the happiest day of your life. And so it is. Thank you. Namaste.